Heyo, it's your boy Pauly T coming at you with the list of the top 5 best movies ever made. In my opinion, these are the top 5 films in all of cinema. Some of them are award winners, some of them are my personal favorites. A little bit about myself. I have a theater studies degree with a concentration in playwriting, but I also have a minor in movie languages, so I think I know what I'm talking about. But let's just jump right into it. At number 5, we have Cocaine Bear. Cocaine Bear came out in 2023, directed by Elizabeth Banks. Love her work. I know it might be controversial kind of having a movie this new on the list, and I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but for me, the humor was just right. I loved the cast in it, and for me, it was just a good bloody time at the movies. So that's, my personal preference. That's why it's kind of at number 5, because I know it's kind of a mixed bag to other people, but to me, it's just a great movie, so that's why I made the list at number 5. Number 4, we have an Anthony Hopkins movie. That's right, it's The Edge. The Edge came out in 1997. It stars Anthony Hopkins and Alec Baldwin. The movie is about a billionaire and 2 other survivors who their plane goes down in the mountains, and they have to kind of band together in order to survive harsh winter conditions, while there is also a bear out in the wilderness kind of tracking them down and hunting them. Not one of Anthony Hopkins' more popular works, and I know Alec Baldwin has kind of become a more controversial figure these days for a number of reasons, but if you can look past that and just appreciate the work, as it was when it came out back in 1997, I think it just still holds up today. The cinematography is excellent. I love the cast, and the bear is just fantastic in it. At number 3, we have a Disney classic here. It is The Fox and the Hound. You don't see The Fox and the Hound marketed as much these days compared to other Disney films. One, there aren't really a lot of catchy musical numbers in it. It's an older film. I think the animation still holds up beautifully. It's also a more mature film compared to, some other Disney classics. It deals, with themes of division, and it also has one of the most terrifying villains in cinematic history, perhaps the most terrifying villain. I am talking, of course, about the bear at the end. Oh my gosh, just the way that they make it look like this giant, monstrous shadow. And when I was a child, that just terrified me, and really made me appreciate the power and the majesty of bears. And I think that it instilled those lessons into an entire generation, really. And so it's a shame that today's youth aren't getting as much Fox and the Hound exposure, specifically because they're not getting as much bear exposure. And again, just one of the greatest bears and one of the greatest villains in all of cinema. So that's why it's at number 3. Number 2 is a sequel in a classic franchise, the second entry in a classic film franchise. Of course, I'm talking about Grizzly 2 Revenge. Grizzly 2 Revenge is just such a step above the original Grizzly. And I appreciate what Grizzly did, at the time with what it had. It had a vision, it went for the vision, and Grizzly 2 would not be here without Grizzly, obviously. But man, they just went all out on this film, you know what I mean? There's bears all over the place, and the cast, man, Charlie Sheen, Laura Dern, and a young George Clooney. That's real. All 3 of those people were in Grizzly 2 Revenge, and my God, I don't know if we're ever going to get such a meeting of star power and artistic writing in a film ever again. It's just amazing how much they were able to accomplish, and how much modern cinema has strayed away from the clear blueprint that this movie laid down for what a blockbuster is and what it should be. So that's Grizzly 2 Revenge at the number 2 slot. Really quick, let me just check my notes for some honorable mentions. Brother Bear, another iconic Disney bear, but, you know, not anywhere near The Fox and the Hound. Open Season, not my personal favorite series of movie, but, you know, did a lot for exposing children to bears. And I'm just getting this out of the way right now. Number 1 is not Paddington 2. That is not our number 1 movie, and that is because at time of recording I have not seen the Paddington movies. I know it's blasphemous, but that's just because I missed the boat on Paddington 1, right? I didn't know what it was, and then Paddington 2 came out, and I just was in a really busy place in my life, and so I wasn't able to see it in theaters. And again, at time of recording, Paddington 3 has yet to come out, and so I'm really hoping that in the way that they've done like the Lord of the Rings trilogies and the Star Wars trilogies, that the movie theaters in my area are going to do a Paddington rewatch and show the first 2 Paddington movies leading up to the 3rd Paddington, and I'll be able to see all 3 in a row in the cinema. So I'm really hoping I can make that work. But that's why Paddington is just an honorable mention on this list and doesn't have an actual spot, is because I haven't seen the films. But maybe I'll make an update video in the future. We'll see. Number 1 spot. You all knew this was coming, right? You all knew this was coming. It couldn't be any other movie. 2015's The Revenant. Sorry, I'm getting emotional thinking about it. It's just such a wonderfully realized piece of cinema. God, that bear. Oh my God, did you see that bear? The way that bear moved and looked, and then it had Leo in his mouth. It just had him in his mouth, and it was just like, and it was just like, yeah, that's a bear. You know what I mean? That's a real bear. And it wasn't a real bear, you know, and that's why it's so impressive, is that it's not even a real bear, but it was just like, yeah, you know, like, it just gets that bear in you, like. Anyway, those are the top 5 movies of all time, and remember, my opinion's always right. See you next time.